Hey guys, this is Multiverse Nerds. You're watching Geek Gossip. I'm Russ.
And I'm Rob. Welcome to our world. In preparation for Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we're here today to talk to you about Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, Russ, what did you think about the movie?
I thought it was honestly a 90-minute episode of a cartoon show leading up to the Avengers.
I mean, it was pretty bad. It was a boring movie. It was great for the origin. It followed it great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it totally took the origin of Captain America, did a great representation, but my problem with the movie was I think we got more of that than we actually got of Captain America. And my case in point is we get the long journey of Steve Rogers, the small town, hero with a heart of gold and the body of a waste paper basket.
Yeah, the CG on that, in my opinion, was horrible. In the movie itself, I mean, there were a lot of aspects where the CG was just awful. I mean...
It seemed off in comparison to, say, Iron Man.
Yes.
Or, especially Thor. Asgard, in comparison, looked so much better.
You're not telling me anything I don't know. I mean, seriously.
But yeah, the Steve... The Chris Evans, graph to, I don't know who they got to play the body, but there were clearly times where the head neck movement in coordinating with the body just it didn't seem right or something was off. But anyway, back to my point. The transition where he finally gets into the army. Goes through boot camp.
Yeah, the boot camp where it was pretty much they were trying to find his character. They weren't looking for, the strength and the endurance, stuff like that. The acting otherwise, besides Chris Evans through that, we were introduced to Stanley Tucci, Tommy Lee Jones, and the beautiful Haley Atwell. And I use beautiful loosely because she's gorgeous, okay? Wonderful Peggy Carter, okay?
She was easy to look at.
Yeah, it was... Steve Rogers enjoyed it, let me just say. But back to the characters. The accents were horrible, okay? Between Hugo Weaving and Stanley Tucci, they were not consistent. It was not the greatest of accents, it was...
It was like your run-of-the-mill Renaissance fair accents.
Pretty much. Chris Evans is wonderful as Captain America, though. I'll give him that. I know you harp on, the double dipping.
Yeah, and, I will... to bounce off your point, Chris Evans did do well. He was able to take my mind off of, hey, isn't that the Human Torch?
Yeah.
Which was, it was good in my opinion. He did a really good job of, again, playing, that hero with the heart of gold and doesn't tell lies and the Dudley Do Right. He did everything to the T fantastically well.
Yes, he did. And he did wonderful with that, and then he becomes Captain America,
Finally, after 50 minutes.
Yeah, I loved how they had the Hydra nods in the beginning. Hydra's an awesome affiliation in Marvel. I think it was great for them to pull that in, and they did a wonderful job with it. Cut one head off, two come back, They worked on that, loved it. Not showing the Red Skull, they showed Hugo Weaving's face instead of him as the Red Skull.
They did really good about, keeping it under wraps. Obviously, he's Red Skull.
Yeah.
But they did really good with keeping it, we're not going to just show you Red Skull at the beginning of the movie. They're going to build it up, and then, the payoff where they kind of have the face-off about halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
It was really good, with cinematic effect. The place is collapsing, and there's, fire everywhere, and it just, peels it off.
Yeah, unfortunately, the CG on that was horrible, okay? Just horrible. Let's get back to still Captain America becoming... or Steve Rogers becoming Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes it. Hydra officer kills Stanley Tucci. Big dramatic chase scene, okay? He's in his new body. He's just working it, Flies into a sheet of glass. What does he come out? There's not one scratch on him. His Hanes white t-shirt was indestructible as well as he was.
Apparently so.
Really? Come on, that was horrible. But then he ends up beating him up. Brings him in, the army's like, we don't want you, we wanted an army, not just one person. And then it comes into, hey, we're Captain America in the, ad campaign.
Yes, sell some bonds, and you get back to the origin story of Captain America. Again, it was spot on. It was a really good representation. What I really didn't like, though, is you go immediately from this, and I mean, this is a long, drawn-out scene.
Yeah.
In fact, he rejoins with Peggy during one of the scenes, and he's drawing like the monkey and stuff like that, and there's like this kind of touching scene. He's like, I want to be able to do more, and I don't want to be able to do this.
Yes.
And that's amazing. Then you get the first true legitimate action scene of the movie, almost halfway through.
He goes, finds out Bucky's missing, so he goes to get their troop.
Yeah, he goes to save some POWs.
Yeah, and then when you get there, you see Dum Dum Dugan. Love that nod. The Howling Commandos in itself, wonderful. I enjoyed that. Dum Dum Dugan, I loved it. I mean, I was totally spot on with the character. He was amazing. Then it gets Bucky, and then we get the Red Skull reveal. CG on that was...
I wasn't a fan.
No.
But then we get to this montage of all of these action sequences, and the whole time I'm watching this scene, I'm going, why aren't we watching this? And why did we cut these out for so much more of the origin story?
Yeah, it was like, they threw it in. They had to throw this movie in, just say, hey, this is what's set up for the Avengers. This is why Captain America is the way he is. We're just do what we can to get it out quick enough, because we already have 2 Iron Mans. Robert Downey Jr. is not getting any younger. Chris Hemsworth on his diet, he's about fed up. We need to get Chris.
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth his diet, so.
And they released Captain America right before Avengers, because I remember Captain America literally ends with, you can see Captain America again next summer in the Avengers.
Yes.
Which is basically, you can see Captain America in the Avengers because you didn't see him here.
No, because it was, hey, here's 30 minutes of Captain America,
And I even take that point into the final sequence where they're fighting on the ship. It was like 6 minutes. Yeah. It was garbage. They roll around, they shoot at each other a couple times, and then it's over. Yeah,
it was kind of like, the Cosmic Cube. Oh, I'm sorry, they call it the Tesseract, Not the Cosmic Cube, what it's supposed to be, just to set up the Infinity Stones. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to be, we're judging the movie, not the comics into the movie sequence, but that really bugged me, okay? I mean, if you can pull in this origin story, use the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah, if you can take the Avengers, give each of one of them a solo film, if not full series, what it seems like now, pull them into the Avengers, take the Avengers, have all of these, storylines convolute into everything staying apparent and in sequential order. Why couldn't you just have the Cosmic Cube be the Cosmic Cube?
Yeah, I mean, probably the same reason you had to have Stan Lee's mug in every one of your movies. Seriously,
General Stan Lee.
Yeah, we're done with that. It was funny, in the Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. That's fine. We don't need his face in every movie. I'm sorry. I know he wants it there. It's not needed. Between that and then the humor, they had Tommy Lee Jones. I think he was just in there just for
they really played up the
kind of like dry humor in it.
Yeah, and I mean, literally the whole first part of the movie, they're making fun of Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, and I did kind of laugh. Tommy Lee Jones is talking to Stanley Tucci's character, and he goes, "Hey, let's use this guy because he is everything a soldier is." And then, they of course have to have Steve Rogers proves that he has a bigger heart than anyone there. And then the follow-up to that is Tommy Lee Jones looks at Stanley Tucci and goes, "He makes me cry."
Yeah. Or the end when, Chris Evans is about ready to jump on the ship and he kisses Haley Atwell, which I was jealous. But he turns back around and Tommy Lee Jones looks at him and goes, "Well, I'm not going to kiss you." It's like, really?
Yeah, a lot of those lines seemed incredibly forced.
Yeah.
But no line forced, in my opinion, worse than the final line of the movie. He wakes up, he's in current New York, spoilers, and they're clearly setting up the Avengers, and he's talking to Nick Fury, and it's like, oh, did you have something going on? And he goes, "I'm late for a date."
Yeah, I was like,
and then the movie just cuts to black.
You can see him again in the Avengers next summer.
Yeah. But you won't see Haley Atwell because she's dead.
Well, ironically, she's set up for the next Captain America movie, which I'm glad to hear. You know, I love watching Haley Atwell, but I also like the how they set up the Winter Soldier. A lot of people didn't understand, like Bucky. Spoiler again. Bucky being the Winter Soldier, like falling off that train, that set up the Winter Soldier. That was perfect. You know, Armin Zola, they bring him in. He's a little helper to Hugo Weaving. A lot of people don't know that. That's another main bad guy for Captain America. They're setting him up for each movie. They did do that well, but it was just boring from, you know, the beginning to end. Only the last, like, 30 minutes of the movie actually had the action to where we were, you know, satisfied.
Right, I agree completely.
So
overall, what score are you going to give Captain America: The First Avenger?
okay, I'm a huge Marvel fan. They stuck with the story. I have to give them that, okay? However, it was a little dull. They could have put more action into it. The characters were good. The actors they got for the characters were, in my opinion, wonderful. Haley Atwell, beautiful. I mean, she brings it up 2 notches. The movie itself, it wasn't sick nasty like the other ones, but it was okay. I'm going to have to go with the 7.
Okay. You know, I'm going to kind of piggyback off your points. Captain America as itself, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
In comparison, however, to Thor's movie, Iron Man's first movie, even kind of going outside of the box to Edward Norton's Hulk, I don't see this one comparing up, and I see where they basically go, we've got to get this out before Avengers. Avengers has already been, you know, its date is set. This has to come out before it.
Yeah.
And you can totally see where it seems forced because of that date.
Yeah.
But I'm totally going to agree with you. I'm going to give it a 7. You know, I'm not well versed in Marvel, but Captain America for me is up there. And I thought a lot of the nods, as you pointed out, were good for the film, but a lot of it was rushed. The action scenes, that montage, I think was literally just to fill trailers, because I don't think we got any more action than the trailers had. But yeah, overall, 7 out of 10 for me too. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks as always for watching. And if you like what you saw, check us out at multiversenerds.com, and we'll see you soon.